was a very memorable place in my life. Probably the best years of my life I spent there as a kid. I was a very lucky kid. We were very poor, but we were rich in other ways. Okay, well, that goes back to 1935 when we bought the farm, and the river was high. The river was going over the banks at that time. From the time I was 11 until we left the farm in 52, that was almost like my home, almost a daily occurrence. Well, it was a daily occurrence. Once the cows had to be milked, I was down there and back, down and back quite a lot. The fish were about 18 inches, some of them. The sucker body was a little fatter, whereas the jackfish were a slimmer fish. Occasionally you could see a 10 to 12 inch grayling. We had willows along the banks, tall willows, big spruce and poplar mix, growing right up to the riverbank. It's sad what's happened to it.
The Twatna watershed is 750 kilometers square about. The Twatna River starts in Helliwell Lake and flows beside Nestow through Twatna to Rochester, then goes to Perryvale, Menook, Collinton, and then the town of Athabasca where it meets the Athabasca River. In 2022, we assessed the riparian areas on the Twatna River. The assessment determined that 68% of river shoreline assessed had high intactness, 13% had moderate intactness, 6% had low intactness, and 13% had very low intactness. The river itself from these riparian area assessments is quite intact. Some areas do need more help than others. Mark Spafford in 2011-2010 studied the lower portion of the watershed closer to the town of Athabasca, including the Little Pine Creek and Collington Creek. And he found that three major concerns of the Twatna watershed were recreation, so ATV trails, maybe going into some water bodies, cattle going into the creek, and riparian habitat was also a concern. The Twatna watershed experiences flooding, it experiences drought, and riparian areas and wetlands are known to help the watershed be more resilient to flood and drought. Riparian areas also help shade the rivers and the creeks, which help fish passage and fish find refuge throughout the watershed. The last piece was watercourse crossing. So just making sure those watercourse crossings are continuously being inspected, and if any are closed off, that could cause some connectivity issues with fish passage and fish going up the creek. In the Twatna watershed, there has been a history of stewardship. It all started when the forestry company decided to come into the area probably 40-50 years ago, and a group of concerned community members came together, and now that forestry company has some of the best practices in the world. There was also a Twatna stewards group in 2009 that was very passionate about helping the Twatna watershed. And so the Athabasca Watershed Council knew the history of stewardship in the region. Talking to local landowners, we noticed that everyone talked about Arctic grayling and how they would love to see Arctic grayling back into the watershed. And we thought that would be a really cool goal for local community members to get behind. And that's when we decided to have an open house in November 2022. There was 50 people that attended that meeting, and we recognized that there was an interest in helping the environment. So we decided to bring a group together and have a meeting after that initial open house and start looking for funding for doing environmental work in the Tawatna watershed. Now we're moving into our second year of the group, which has 15 members that always attend each meeting and lots of interest. Our annual open house, we've been trying to host every year, had 30 people at the last meeting.
It's just beautiful any day of the year. Biking, hiking, cross-country skiing, downhill skiing, skating, canoeing, that type of thing, berry picking, photography, duck hunting, just enjoying it, just taking it in. We've had a lot of recreation here. I have really cool memories of my son. When he was growing up, he had friends of his age right in the neighborhood. You know, there's more kids around then. And they used that river in the summer like Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. You know, they would float down the river from the bridge and they'd get off the river at at their buddy's house. And then, you know, mom would feed them lunch or whatever, or come back, and they could just live that life like it was just, nobody could ever have that. You know, they could swim in the river, they could pretend they were fishing, they could float on a floaty, and it was just totally safe. Like, what could go wrong?
It's exciting to have an opportunity with landowners, local landowners in the Tawatna watershed. Everyone is so keen and so connected to the land.
I'm so thankful that the Department of Environment and whoever else has been on board to try and rescue it. What we're doing is rescuing that river from obsolescence. Unfortunately, I'm not capable of doing any physical help, but my heart's in it.